Ranbir, like he's like, this is your scene, you want my closes first or yours, you let me know this is your scene, we'll do it your way, however you are comfortable. When there is a scene like that, you treat it differently in your head also as an actor. I had informed my parents in that there is something that might disturb you. They have become bhabhi for everybody.
Triptii Dimri, thank you so much for joining me on Times Network. This interview was due right from the day Animal released.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, sir.
And I think we are late.
We are late. Why?
Because you have created a very good impression with the film. You have really registered. You know, when I went to the film, I read your name. I know, of course, who you are. I thought, koi side role hoga. And I somewhere read also it's a supporting role.
Yeah.
But when I come out of the film, though your role is limited, you come very late in the movie, it leaves a very, very strong impression. And whenever you remember Animal, whenever you talk about Animal, because it has become the talk of town for various reasons, you also find a mention in that.
I'm so glad. So happy to hear that. Thank you.
Okay, tell me honestly, did you really expect this movie first to become such a big hit?
I knew that the movie would do well because I could see Sandeep sir's conviction and passion when he was making the film. So I knew कि ये इनको पता है what he's doing, and I knew that it would do well. But somewhere I was like, you know, I had a meeting a few days back before the release of Animal with my team, and I was like, I'm very nervous because it's my theatrical release after a good 5 years, after Laila Majnu. And I'm nervous for those reasons, but I was honestly not expecting much. I thought, okay, mera role hai, aayega, people will watch it, they might remember it, they might not. But I didn't expect it to go this big. I didn't expect so many people to connect with the character, and you know, the kind of messages I've been getting, it's really overwhelming. So it feels good when people appreciate you for what you've done.
Do you recall the day when you got this offer? Where exactly you were and how did the message come across?
I was, I think post Bulbul, I was doing a TV commercial where I met this assistant DOP, and he told me that there's this director, he's making a film with Ranbir Kapoor, and he's seen your film Bulbul, and he wants to cast you opposite Ranbir. And I was like, what? I said, okay. I got excited and I told my team, but I think us time pe it was at a very initial stage. So I didn't get any message after that for a year at least. And then a year later I get a message from T-Series, and they said the director wants to meet you and stuff, and I met him, and the first day we just spoke about life. He told me his life experiences, I told him mine. That's how generally you meet directors. Every director you meet, you first talk about, you know, how you got here in the first place. So that's what happened. And then the second meeting happened, and that is when he told me that he's, you know, he wants to cast me in the film as Zoya. And he told me that I'm going to be very honest with you, it's not there's not much screen time for you, and it's kind of a negative role. But one thing he said which was interesting and that made me, you know, immediately say yes to him was that he said it is a negative role. He explained the whole you know, graph of Zoya to me, and he said that she's someone who has come to his life with a motive, but I don't want people to see that. When they see you on screen, I only want them to see her innocence, and I only want them to see love in her eyes. I don't want people to think for even a split second that she can be a mole or she can, you know, harm anyone. So that made the character very interesting for me, because you know, when you think of playing a negative character on screen, हमने बचपन से कितनी फिल्में देखी हैं, shows देखे हैं, कुछ चीज़ें होती हैं that you know, catch on to, and you're like, okay, if I ever get a chance to play a negative role, I'm going to do it this way. तो आप एक दिमाग में इमेज बना लेते हो कि पॉजिटिव कैरेक्टर्स कैसे प्ले करते हैं एंड नेगेटिव्स कैसे प्ले करते हैं. And this was completely opposite of that. I was not allowed to do any of that.
You had any reference point?
I had, yeah.
What was that?
There's many shows. There's this show called Killing Eve, जिसमें there's a character called Vinalel, who's my what? I'm going to say it correctly later. It's a tongue twister. But it's played by this actor called Jodie Comer. And she's a negative character. She's played it so well that I've watched that show at least 10 times for her. I wrote her long messages on Instagram, which obviously she never checked.
Okay.
And I watched her performance for Kala also. I watched her performance for this film also, and it really did help. But for this one, I had to like let go of it because I couldn't use any of it in this film. But yeah, she's so good. So that is one character.
Anyway, good you did that. You erased that because you've gone on to become a national crush. And how do you react to this?
It's a
You must be dancing in your house.
dancing. So
मतलब-
I mean, it's अभी तक sink in नहीं किया. अभी तक I don't know. My friends are calling me. My sister called me yesterday, and she's like, "पहुंच गई हो cloud 9 पे." But I was like, I don't know. I don't. I mean, I don't know what to call this feeling. How to? It's just. It's good. I mean, I'm happy, and I'm grateful that people loved the character and they loved me in the film, and they've given me this title. I mean, who wouldn't like it? So I'm
और
obviously
ये
very
people
happy.
में how many are guys who started messaging you or calling you
A lot of people.
or
Obviously.
when you go out?
Yeah, I've become bhabhi for everybody. Everybody calls me bhabhi only.
But they must be, I mean, chasing you for autographs.
Yeah, that is happening, which is again, you feel good as an actor because when you think of becoming an actor, when you start off, this is the day you wait for, right? You want people to recognize you for your work, appreciate you for what you do on screen. So that is what is happening, and I'm happy.
Going back to Sandeep's conversation with you, did he tell you right on day one or with the script that you have a very intimate scene with Ranbir Kapoor in the film?
He told me, yeah, the second day when he told me everything about Zoya, he said that there's a scene that I'm looking to do and with you and Ranbir, and he said that I'm going to be shooting it very aesthetically. It's going to look beautiful, but if you're not comfortable, then we'll think of another way of doing it. And he showed me references, and he told me that he wants to create a Beauty and the Beast kind of an image. And he told me why it is important for the film, and you know, he just made it, you know, he was treating it like any other scene in the film, which kind of, you know, made me feel comfortable that it, okay, hota hai na, usually when there is a scene like that, you treat it differently in your head also as an actor, but it was, they didn't make a big deal out of it. It was treated as any other scene in the film, and even the day when we were shooting it, everybody kept asking me every 5-6 minutes that, are you okay, are you comfortable? If you're not comfortable at any point, you just have to let us know. And when you're in an environment where people are making you feel comfortable, then you don't feel odd at all. And yeah, I mean, it's the day you sign a project, you have to make sure that you're doing your part, you're being completely honest to the character. So doubt to nahi tha.
So how does Triptii function? Does she tell at home that I have this kind of a scene beforehand, or does she just go on the set and okay, chalo abhi trial dekho?
Trial dekho. So I had informed my parents in that there is something that might disturb you, but it's okay. I mean, watch it, because जब मैंने acting भी शुरू की थी ना, तो my parents were not very comfortable with it. They were like, why do you want to get into it? And they were not aware of how the industry works, and of course there are rumors and stuff like that, so people, obviously they would be scared, and they were scared, and they said they were not happy with me being an actor. And I remember telling my parents that I'm not doing anything wrong. If I was doing anything wrong, I would tell you, but I'm not, and you can come with me and see what I'm doing, see the kind of people I'm meeting, see how I am on a set, or how people around me are on a set. Which is exactly what I told them now, that I'm comfortable, I know I'm not doing anything wrong, I know it's my duty as an actor to perform scenes that are given to me, and as long as I'm comfortable, as long as nothing bad is happening to me, as long as I know I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't see it in a bad way, and I'm comfortable. But they obviously they like it, and but they were very sweet about it. They just called me, and very sweetly they said that आगे से थोड़ा ध्यान रखना.
After seeing the film?
After seeing the film, that आगे से if you can avoid a certain scenes, they just avoid. But they were very sweet about it, obviously. But they were like, as parents, it was too much for us to see. I said, acha, okay.
Of course, the collections are very high.
Yeah.
But there are two school of thoughts here.
Yeah.
Now, one is, why do you think these violent films or aggressive films are being lapped up? Is it that the the ambience around us, the environment around us has become aggressive, has become violent, and this content is loved by people?
I think action films.
And does it also start probably a trend of the movies which you may see later, which some people are worried about?
I don't look at it like that. I mean, I feel that today we are in a stage where we are open to, everything. Like, we are consuming international content as well. And there's much more violence there than there is in Indian cinema, right? Because we do have a censor board, and we can, not go all out as actors or as directors. You still have to, restrict yourself in certain areas. But today we have, everything available to us. We can watch content from anywhere and everywhere, and we are watching violent films. I'm not someone who loves action. Like, I'm not a fan of action. But, if there's an action film, I'll watch it. But that doesn't mean that I go home and I start behaving like the people in the film, right? And yeah, I think a film is a film, and action was there since the beginning. I mean, if you start keeping these things in mind, like, I'll give you a very small example. When I did Bulbul, there was a rape scene in Bulbul, and Kala, there was a suicide scene in Kala. So many people messaged me saying that they were appreciating the film, they loved the film, but that scene should not have been there because it triggered something in us. That scene should not have been there, it triggered something in us. But when you're making a film, you can't keep these things in, like, then you won't feel free as a creative person. You will be like, okay, this is my template, these are the rules that I can follow, and these are the things that I cannot add to my film. Then how are you an artist? Then if your freedom is taken away, then you don't perform. Because when we are on a set with a director who gives us a free hand and who's like, this is the brief, this is the intention of the scene, you go do it. That's when magic happens. That's because you're free. You're not thinking about, okay, these are the instructions given to us, and this is the way I have to say my lines, and this is where I have to stand, this is where I have to look at the other person. When these instructions are not given, then you give your best shot. And this is something that I have observed. When you're given these instructions, then because you're standing there and you're only thinking about those instructions, you're not honest in the moment, and you're not real, and your performance goes for a toss. And I've had conversations with a lot of actors, and they feel the same. So it is the same with people who are creating stories. If you keep telling them that keep this out of it, keep this out of it, keep that out of it, what will you make? And
how much of free hand does Sandeep Reddy give?
He gives, he just gives you this intention of the scene, and he says, now do it. And he's someone who's like constantly observing you. So if I'm having a chat with him outside of the scene, he'll keep noticing you, and he'll be like, oh, what did you do 5 minutes back? Just, your expression was good. Just use that expression. If it comes. If it doesn't come, we do something else. But keep it easy. He keeps it very easy. Like, he gives you a free hand. He lets you do your thing. And after and he really involves you in a scene. Like, it's not like, tumhara chota role hai film mein, so you're not important. Because after every scene, he would call me to the monitor, make me watch the whole take. And he's so prepared that his BGM was ready when we were shooting. So mujhe, honestly, in that moment, I thought, okay, hota hai na kuch feel ke liye kuch music chala diya, and he's making me watch the take with that music. But when I watched the film, I was like, oh God, this was ready when we were shooting. So, it makes you feel really special, and, makes you give your 100% as an actor when your director is, so involved with the scenes and keeping you involved.
I think that increases your faith in the director.
Exactly.
And plus it reduces your inhibitions also.
Exactly.
If he allows you to
be yourself, to
do the
what
scene
you
in
feel.
3-4 ways. Yeah.
Yes. And there was no, that confession scene that is there in the film. I was so nervous that day. And, I'm not boasting about myself, but I can cry like that. But that day I could not cry. Like, I just could not get myself to feel anything. And I was just feeling, because I was so nervous, I had forgotten all my lines. And I was like, anything that could go wrong that day was going wrong. And I was like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And once you're stuck in that cycle, then you're stuck. Then it's difficult to get out of it because you're only thinking about that. And we were supposed to finish that scene in half a day, but I took the whole day. I couldn't finish the scene in half a day. And not even for 5 minutes did he make me feel that, we're losing light, we're losing time. Why aren't you doing it properly? He was very patient. Even Ranbir, he's like, this is your scene, you want my closes first or yours? You let me know, this is your scene, we'll do it your way, however you are comfortable. So it was, they make you feel very special and they make you feel like you're an integral part of everything that's happening, and it just gives you that confidence. बल्कि उस दिन कुछ काम नहीं किया मैंने.
So Triptii, the interview will be incomplete if I really don't ask you whether you're single or in a relationship.
I'm single.